Look at this low-life girl I'm trying to help. You should be happy I even looked your way. There are so many beautiful girls out there, but I just pitied you and decided to ask you out. And you have the guts to say no to me. Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror? I doubt. In fact, for refusing me, you will continue to suffer. Those were the words Bamidele said to Abike that evening at the car park. Abike sat quietly on the edge of her tiny bed, staring blankly at the faded wall before her. The room was a bit dark, not by choice, but because the only bulb she had stopped working and there was no money to replace it. The silence of the night was loud, and the tears she tried to hold back once again found their way down her cheeks. She was tired, tired of trying, tired of hoping, tired of waking up each morning to another day filled with disappointment, hunger, rejection, and shame. No one understood, not her neighbors who mocked her for always being indoors, not her former classmates who now flaunt their perfect lives online, not even her family who never failed to remind her that she was nothing but a liability. Abike was invincible in a world where no one saw beyond what they could gain. She was broken and she was alone. But it wasn't always like this. Abike had dreams, big dreams. She grew up in a small village with very little. But even as a child, she carried a fire within her. Her mother died when she was 10, and her father remarried a woman who never truly accepted her. She learned to survive early. She sold pure water, hawked fruits, washed clothes, and did anything just to gather enough to register for school. It took her extra 2 years to finish secondary school because she often had to pause and work to pay her fees. Yet she pressed on. Against all odds, Abike got admitted to a federal university, which was a miracle. Her father said he doesn't have money to train her. Her aunt was willing to help, but she was also struggling. Abike survived in one meal a day, collected old textbooks from seniors, wrote exams for people in order to get paid, so different thing in school just to survive. Her only comfort during those trying times was Oyewole. Oyewole was her best friend, her boyfriend, her confidant, and the only man who ever saw her pain without saying a word. They met during her first year, and he instantly became her strength. He understood what it meant to struggle, and together they built castles of hope in their conversations. He promised her that someday they would rise, that life would reward their efforts. But fate had other plans. Oyewole died in their final year in a ghastly accident on his way to school. Abike was shattered. That one person who made life bearable was gone, and with him, a part of her died too. After graduation, Abike believed things would finally turn around. She had fought so hard. Surely life would cut her some slack. But the struggle only worsened. No job, endless applications, countless rejection, and when she finally got called for interviews, the offer came with a price. The hiring manager asked her to trade her body for the job. She left without saying a word. Feeding became a battle. Some days she drank garri soaked in silence, and other days she simply slept through the hunger. But the worst part wasn't the hunger, it was the shame. The kind that makes you disappear from people's lives because you have nothing to offer. The kind that silences your phone and locks you in isolation. She hated begging. She didn't want to be anyone's burden. Even some family members laughed at her dreams. You went to school, yet you're hungry. Maybe you weren't serious in school, her cousin once mocked. She would cry herself to bed almost every night, punching her pillow to silence her screams. She prayed, fasted, sowed seeds with the little she had, yet nothing changed. The heavens felt closed, her prayers like echoes bouncing back unanswered. Eventually, she gave up on God. What was the point of praying to a God who seemed to be watching me suffer in silence? She would say. She stopped going to church. She stopped praying. She stopped hoping. Months passed. Then came the darkest week of her life. One night, she lay on her floor, unable to sleep. Her ribs ached from hunger. Her phone buzzed. It was an email. Her heart raced, thinking it was a job offer. She checked. It was another rejection mail. Again. She curled up in a ball and wept like a child. God, where are you? She whispered. I'm tired. Just take me. Let me go and rest, she cried. The next morning, she felt hopeful, something she hadn't felt in months. Abike stood up from the bed, washed her face, and whispered, if this is all the strength I have, then I'll still try again. She forced herself to kneel and pray, even when she didn't feel like it. She didn't have any words, only tears and groans, but she kept showing up in her secret place. From that moment on, Abike made a choice. She would not let her circumstances define her. She continued to apply for jobs, but this time, she also enrolled in a free skill training program sponsored by Chief Agbabiaka, one of the wealthiest men in the town. She learned to sew, to create, to express herself through fabric and thread. Each stitch was a testament to her resilience, a reminder that she was still alive, still fighting. Months later, she fell in love with her new craft. She poured her heart into it. She was loved by most of her teachers because of how dedicated and focused she was. She started getting favors from them. Some promised to gift her machines and other equipment after the training. Some wanted her to come work for them and get paid. She created beautiful pieces, each one a reflection of her journey, her pain, and her hope. She shared her work on her social media platforms. She wasn't getting any attention at first, but slowly, people began to notice her. The likes and comments poured in, and for the very first time in a long while, Abike felt hopeful. Then, one day, as she was scrolling through her messages, she saw a notification that made her heart race. One of the biggest boutiques in town wanted to feature her designs. They had seen her work online and was impressed by her talent. Abike could hardly believe it. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for, the chance to showcase her skills and finally earn a living. She accepted immediately and was grateful to God for that opportunity. The next morning, she saw another mail from one of the big companies she had been dreaming to work with. She had sent countless applications, went for different stages of interview, but she never heard back from them. Staring at her was a job offer. Tears streamed down her face. She couldn't believe that all of this is happening at the same time. She immediately knelt down in tears, giving gratitude to God. She needed to choose one out of the two opportunities, so she chose her newfound craft and declined the job offer. The day of the launch was filled with emotions. As she stood in the boutique, surrounded by her creations, she felt a sense of pride swell within her. Each piece told a story, a narrative of struggle and triumph, and she was ready to share it with the world. The boutique owner introduced her to the guests, and as she spoke about her journey, her voice trembled with emotion. She shared the pain of her past, the loss of her boyfriend, and the battles she had fought to get to this moment. The audience listened intently, their eyes reflecting empathy and understanding. For the first time, Abike felt seen. She was no longer just a girl struggling to survive. She was a woman with a story, a survivor who had turned her pain into art. The applause that followed her speech was thunderous, and tears streamed down her cheeks as she realized that she was not alone in her suffering. People had stories too. As the night progressed, orders for her designs began to flood in. People were captivated not just by the beauty of her work, but by the heart and soul she had poured into each piece. Abike felt a warmth spread through her, a sense of belonging that had left her for so long. She was finally being recognized for her talent, for her resilience, and for her unwavering spirit. In the weeks that followed, her life transformed in ways she had never imagined. The boutique became a platform for her to showcase her designs, and soon she was invited to participate in fashion shows and exhibitions. Each event was a celebration of her journey, a testament to the power of faith and perseverance. Abike found herself surrounded by a community of artists and entrepreneurs who uplifted and inspired her to become even better. As her business flourished, Abike also made it a point to give back. She started a mentorship program for young women who faced similar struggles, offering them guidance and support. She wanted to be the light for those who felt lost, just as she had once been. Her story became a beacon of hope, proving that even in the darkest of times, there is a way forward. One evening, as she sat in her studio, surrounded by fabric and sketches, Abike reflected on her journey. The pain she had endured had shaped her, but it no longer defined her. She had learned that life was not always fair, that it could be cruel and unforgiving, but it was also filled with moments of beauty and grace. She had discovered her faith, not just in God, but in herself. With a heart full of gratitude, she whispered a prayer of thanksgiving. She had come a long way from the girl who felt invincible, and now she was a woman of purpose. Abigail knew that the road ahead would still have its challenges, but she was ready to face them head on. She had learned that pain could be a powerful teacher, and through it all, she had found her voice, her strength, and her place in the world. And so Abike continued to create, to inspire, and to uplift others, proving that even when the world feels heavy, there is always a way to rise above, to turn pain into purpose, and to find joy in the journey. Now we have come to the end of another beautiful story. I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye for now.